The struggle of the employees with the new American owners, Caterpillar, have been in the news of late.
The Electromotive employees have decided to do with your hat.
Rumors of them being a known union buster going around seem to be apparent from their take-or-leave-it bargaining conduct, a seemingly far cry from the company's very own worldwide business code of conduct.
How does that make you feel?
Their code of conduct, published and revised since 1974, talks a lot about integrity, teamwork, commitment, and excellence. It seemed to be in such sharp contrast to how they were behaving in their negotiations with EMD and, as we found out, in most of the negotiations with their employees worldwide. For over the last 85 years, Caterpillar Incorporated has grown to be one of the world's leading producers of construction equipment and clear-cutting, logging equipment for the forestry industry. As well as open cut and longwall mining for the energy, steel, and cement industries. Their diesel and generator division for marine applications used in shipping and defense, as well as their long history of selling modified and unmodified mining, dozers, and diggers to the U.S. military for field work and demolition. Most of these acquisitions are non-union shops, if not all, and tend to be located in more impoverished parts of the world or right-to-work states in the U.S. We'll touch on that later. A special note in these acquisitions, besides the fact that a lot of them are purchasing cash from investment groups, is the last one in late 2011. They buy Bikers International, a mining company, for $8.8 billion, at the very same time they're trying to gouge a living wage from the EMD workers, and just before they locked them out on January 1st.
Rail has signed an official agreement Tuesday morning to purchase Electromotive Deisel from Berkshire Partners and Greenbrier Equity Group for $820 million in cash. Caterpillar Vice Chairman and CEO-elect Doug Overhelman was quoted as saying, "This acquisition represents the latest step in our strategic plan to aggressively grow our presence in the global rail industry."
So with all these profits and money being thrown around by Caterpillar over the years, it makes one wonder about issues raised by workers' wages here in Canada really being the problem. Or were there other intentions when the company was bought in the first place?
We see thee rise, the true north, strong and free. From far and wide, O Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
That's a quick and dirty on Caterpillar Inc. So let's get back to those disgruntled EMD workers burning that hat and see what happens after.
This is Jimi Hendrix. We burn the hat.
Burn it, Tucker!
What's up, baby?
The hat is now in the fire.
Here you go, Tucker!
Burn, baby, burn!
What's the next step? I mean, we're all kind of waiting. Is it up to Electromotive to
come back to the bargaining table? Because you guys want to talk about this unfair offer.
It is. We're waiting for them to come back.
All right, well, hopefully they come back sooner than later. We can get this thing resolved and you guys can get back to work, because I know that's what you guys want. We're happy to support you, and best of luck out here.
We're getting huge support from the community, just people coming by to chat, Sisters of St. Joseph's, you name it. Everybody's been supporting.
Well, that's great, and of course the day of action's this Saturday, Victoria Park, show up for that out here. It's a pretty chilly day, so get close to that burning hat and stay warm, guys.
Right on, thanks, Tom.
Thank you.
Thanks,
There we go. In Oshawa, Ontario, over 3,400 jobs lost. Navistar International, with assets of over $9 billion, tries to slash workers' wages and benefits to unprecedented levels and enters into an over 2-year battle with the CAW. And not surprisingly, many workers are struggling to survive, living in plywood shacks, and are at the company's mercy with union busting, intimidation, and massive firings not uncommon to keep people in line. Back to Ontario and St. Thomas, one of the hardest hit regions in Canada, with job loss estimates to be around 10,000 workers.
David Kerr, I'm the president of St. Thomas District Labor Council. I live here in this community, and over the last few years, we have seen job loss somewhere in the neighborhood of 4,000 workers. The place we're standing at here today, less than 2 years ago, employed 2,300 workers. Today it employs 0, except for the security guards that are here looking after and guarding the property. There's been a lot of tragic job loss in this area because it is primarily based on the manufacturing sector.
After 44 years and millions of cars, the final Crown Vic to ever be made in Canada rolls off the assembly line.
Well, Stephen Harper has been accused of ignoring the problems of the manufacturing sector. But this last week, he put those fears to rest.
I'll be at a London locomotive factory later today to highlight some of the tax measures we've taken to make sure that that business remains competitive.
But now, with full majority in Ottawa, the Harper government, as he likes to call the government of Canada these days, wants to make even more changes to the already ineffective Canada Investment Act, stating that it restricts free trade too much, and wants to sign more behind closed doors trade agreements with China and
Prime
the
Minister's
European Union.
office has decided that the words "the government of Canada" should be replaced on all federal communications. They must now refer to the Harper government.
It's not the Harper government, it's not Stephen Harper's government, it's the government of all Canadians. This is unprecedented. You'd expect this kind of directive to be issued by the Information Ministry in North Korea.
Reality is this: as soon as this global recession ends, our country will face a long-run challenge of labor shortage.
It took some time for the word to become official, but once it did, shortly after 6 p.m., the lines went up. After months of talk with no resolution, the company beat the employees to the punch and locked Electromotive workers out. For those who work here and nothing else, this is what the dispute is all about.
We're dealing with a bully of a company here. When I deal with a bully, I say, get reasonable, calm down. We've tried that method. It's not working. We're on to the next stage.
For Electromotive workers who've built trains in London since the 1950s, the company they dub a bully is Caterpillar. Electromotive's latest owner, the union says Caterpillar is determined to cut their wages in half to $16.50 an hour. They'll also eliminate pensions and cut their benefits. Employees say that would be a major step back. The Electromotive plant employs about 420 unionized workers. Officials say the company has told them replacement workers won't be used for now. And so what may become a long lockout has begun, leaving many London families uncertain about both their short and long-term futures.
This affects my wife, affects my children, affects the businesses I patronize.
This is about standard of living that we have here in Canada. This is about our community in London, that if we lose these good-paying jobs, we lose our tax base that keeps this community afloat.
When the company offered a 50% pay reduction, slashing our benefits, slashing our pension, things that I've been counting on now for 24 years, it was shocking, to say the least.
I think they're nuts. I really do. How can you take 50% of somebody's income away? And any workplace, I've never seen it. Corporations are greedy, and you know, I think what it comes down to is just making a fair living. That's all anybody wants. I have a son going into college right now, and I hope to put him through college. Is that too much to ask? We've been bargaining for over 7 months to try to get a reasonable result here. It's incredibly hard on families. If Harper doesn't step up to the plate here and see what's going on, we're not going to be building anything in this country ever again.
There's this mentality that we're not going to interfere with capitalism. We're not going to interfere with the right to make a profit because it's better for everybody. The only people we see it better for is the rich and powerful.
Caterpillar shareholders get $330 million every 3 months. Now, come on, how much more do you need? You know, well, share it. I mean, you're doing well. Caterpillar, you're doing well. All we're asking for is a little share to keep our families going.
This is the first time McGinty has said anything about the now over 7-month-long dispute and doesn't go as far as actually contacting the company or visiting the picket line. More from the Cat Code.
These people don't have compassion, they don't care, they just don't give a damn. They're corporately greedy, they will take, and they'll never stop. They'll never stop. I hate to say it, but you're going to end up with a revolution at some point because people will only take so much.
Why are you guys here?
Supporting our brother Electro-Motive.
What do you hope to accomplish with this rally? Jobs back and maybe send a message?
Caterpillar needs a message.
Join their fine socialist newspaper. Check one out, Socialist Press.
message to Harper? Very good. Any message you'd like to say? Where are you from?
London 120 and gets everything all up.
Cool. What are you guys here for? Where are you from? Local 5? And you're here to show support?
Absolutely, absolute support for our brothers and sisters.
You guys from UWO?
We are. Just living on a perfect day, riding on a perfect wave, waiting for the end to come. Enjoy your visit, no one gets to stay. Never let it slip away, waiting for the end to come.
CAW Local 27. Proud president of a workplace, of a membership, Electromotive, who are fighting so hard for dignity and for respect and fighting against a corporate ass like Caterpillar. And I want just to point out here, those of you have seen on Facebook, the granddaughters of Bob Scott, and this is what the fight's all about, sisters and brothers. It's about families, it's about our community. As you know, we have had support from all around the world. And we've had support from workers in Muncie, Indiana, that refuse to work under those conditions. And we've had support from the United Electrical Workers representing the GE workers who build locomotives in Erie, Pennsylvania.
Hello, Canada Union folks! Hello! Unity! I bring you greetings from the United Electrical Workers of Erie, Pennsylvania. It's right across the pond. Because you have a lot of speakers here, but defend good jobs for all. What do you think? For all.
directly impacted by the heartless actions of this corporation, fueled by greed. People are often too quick to thank their employer for having a decent standard of living. Today I know that that's wrong. The employer has nothing to do with it. If it was up to them, we'd all be living in the slums. They don't care. I know that it's the union who has fought for my dad and my family, and I thank the CAW for all that they do for working people. Our family's budget will be slashed in half. Despite this, rent still has to be paid and food still needs to be eaten. It breaks my heart to see my dad now feeling uncertain as to whether he can support his family. But I'm not here to complain or looking for pity. I'm doing this because I think it's morally wrong to call someone's life work unskilled and to treat someone who's given his body and his soul to his work like they're simply disposable. I think it's wrong to strip someone of their medical and dental coverage. And I think it's wrong to pay someone half of what they were making yesterday for doing the exact same work, especially when a company is turning billions in profit. For young Canadians, we have to understand that this fight is our fight. It's our future that's at stake. We have to build on the progress made by past generations. We can't afford to go backwards. We shouldn't have to inherit a society where greed trumps morality, where the rich rule and where the rest are left to suffer. We must continue to stand up and support each other just like we are doing here today. We have to let Caterpillar know that they are not going to get away with this. We have to let the Harper government know that we are expecting leadership. We have to let all Canadians and workers around the world know that a victory here in London is a victory for all.
Listen to this young woman and the result of this company and the result of this government sending money away and supporting big corporations in tax cuts. We're shame!
It is so important to have a central body. It's so important to have a Canadian Labour Congress. It's so important to have a Congress that's represented by a strong leader. And I want to introduce our next speaker, the President of the Canadian Labour Congress, Brother Ken Giorgetti.
Thank you. Holy cow, I'm told there's 15,000 people standing out here today. I bring greetings from the other 3.3 million who are standing here with you today as well, in support and saying enough is enough. You know, we're told by Investment Canada Act that the whole purpose of that act is a net benefit to Canada. I want to ask you a couple of questions. Is Caterpillar's offer a net benefit to the workers in that plant? Is Caterpillar's offer a net benefit to the citizens of London, Ontario? Is Caterpillar's offer a benefit to Ontarians? No. Is Caterpillar's behavior a benefit to Canada? No. Exactly. That's what we're talking about. We need some wage increases, not decreases. We don't need to be taking concessions. We're supposed to get ahead here. They want to take away what we've struggled to earn for decades. We've created a middle class in this country, and Electromotive and the Conservatives in Ottawa and those right-wingers want to take it away because they're greedy. This just isn't a struggle here. This is a struggle in Canada. They want to make us poorer a net benefit, I think we have to send them back to school. It's time to teach them that a wage increase is a net benefit. That being able to support your family and send your children to school is a net benefit. And I think it's a crying shame that our Prime Minister isn't here today talking to you saying he represents you. Crying shame that not one representative of the federal government is prepared to stand up and say they support Canadians in their struggle. This fight is not going to end here, I'm telling you right now. It's going to spread across Canada like a wildfire. People are tired. Canadians are tired of this notion of a net decrease in our standard of living somehow is inevitable. We're going to stop this, and it's going to start right here today and now. Thank you.
And we're so proud of the turnout here today. 15,000 workers from 54 unions across this great province have come to London today to stand in solidarity with CAW 27. Sick and tired of the corporate greed that exists in corporate Canada here today. And that Caterpillar has now become the poster child for corporate greed in this country and indeed around the world. And we're saying it is not acceptable to say to workers who earn $35 an hour that overnight your wages is going to be cut to 16. That's not acceptable in our country here today. And at the same time, we have to say to Harper, as been said by many folks before me, that if we got to have a net benefit to Canadians, and surely to God that must mean a net benefit to workers. It must mean that you have the ability to have a decent standard of living, such that you can retire with dignity. Some Liberal friends here today, but I want to send them a signal as well. It's time that we balance the Labour Relations Act in this country. Bring in anti-scam legislation. Give us an opportunity. Give us an opportunity to have the ability to have a fair fight when we go to the bargaining table. The Labour Relations Act has been turned against workers in this country, and it's incumbent upon the Liberal government to bring us in that anti-scam legislation, such that we're not threatened at the bargaining table. And then finally, I want to say to Caterpillar, if you think you're taking equipment out of this plant, by God, you better think twice, because the Labour movement is awakening in this country. The Labour movement is finally saying, we've got some fight left in us, my friends, and we got to come together, both outside of this province and across this country. And we got to say to workers, the only way you can fight this agenda is to stand together. And every time we see this kind of an agenda creeping onto our bargaining tables, whether it be in the city of Toronto, whether it be in the private or the public sectors, when it's time that workers stood together, my friends, like we're doing here today, let's meet guards with the Occupy movement and the Labour movement, and let us build a social justice movement in this country where we can push back and we can demand fairness and equity in our workplaces. Stay proud, my friends.
I think that Caterpillar is getting a wake-up call that they never dreamed of. And the Harper government is getting a wake-up call that they never dreamed of.
seen the unprecedented rise of part-time, precarious work in Canada. We've seen the devastation of manufacturing jobs in Ontario. We have seen our steel workers, sisters and brothers in Ontario hung out to dry because our government and the corporate tax cuts keep on coming and our good union jobs keep on going. Right now we have a jobs crisis, and in London we have one of the highest unemployment rates in Canada.
Wow.
Right now, less than half of the unemployed are getting benefits. And many unemployed have run out of benefits and are forced to collect social assistance to survive. And meanwhile, the Harper government is shutting down hundreds of EI service centers all over the country. That's a shame. And our sisters and brothers in the public services are losing their jobs in droves all over the province and all over the country. And I say shame. And we know that so many more Canadians are living in poverty, struggling just to make ends meet. A shocking 3.3 million Canadians had fallen below the poverty line before the global recession even hit. And I say shame. It's obscene that Caterpillar is making mega profits while trying to gouge a living wage from these CAW workers. It's obscene that Canadian CEOs are making at $6 million or more per year while wages decline for the rest of us. It's obscene that the Harper government attacks labor rights and backs corporations that try to union bust. Who the hell is the Harper government taking care of? It's not us, it's the 1%. It's their corporate cronies. And sisters and brothers, we're sending a huge message to the Harper government today. We will not let you destroy our jobs, our communities, our labor rights, our social programs, our public health care in our country. We as a collective labor movement, we as a community, we are collectively outraged. And you can see it here today. There's a new militance, there's a new fire burning. This rally is a sign of the massive resistance forming. But the critical question is, how are we going to stop foreign companies like Caterpillar pillaging our good union jobs? How are we going to stop the Harper government from destroying what we cherish? And I put this challenge out to all of us here today and to our leaders. Let's use our combined strength, our collective power, and our will to mobilize as never before. We are unstoppable. Another world is possible. We are unstoppable. Another world is possible. We are unstoppable. Another world is possible. We are unstoppable. Another world is possible.
Caterpillar has a history of beating down workers. They have a history of attacking unionized workplaces and getting away with it. Not this time, Caterpillar. Not this time. 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 Our next speaker is a sister of the Public Service Alliance and a student at University of Western Ontario.
So I am pleased to bring you a message of solidarity from 2,500 education workers at the University of Ontario. So the majority of my members are young workers. For many of us, this is our first time in a unionized workplace. And we have a dual role at the university. We're both students and employees. And to me, what Caterpillar represents is the future that we have to look forward to if things do not change. And you know, I can't really talk about Caterpillar without talking about CETA, the trade agreement that Harper is negotiating behind closed doors with the European Union. Same thing, Caterpillar and CETA. Same thing we're seeing with the wheat board. Same thing we're seeing with pension restructuring. So CETA and Caterpillar are about a disrespect for intellectual property and for innovation. And for families. Much of the work in a university revolves around innovation. And we've seen that Caterpillar cares little about giving recognition where recognition is due. And they came in, they bought Electromotive, and they've been watching you and then trying to take your work to other places in the world. They don't give you credit for the innovations that you've developed. They don't give you credit for your skilled labor. And what CETA and Caterpillar represent is a threat to Canadian public purchasing power. They present a contribution to the growing economic inequality in Canada. I want to read a quote from a report by the Canadian Centre for Policy Alternatives. It says, after squandering budget surpluses with $200 billion in tax cuts that disproportionately benefited the wealthiest Canadians, the Harper government has done next to nothing to mitigate the poverty and inequality that have deepened since the economic crisis hit in 2008. I am 27 years old. I have my entire life in front of me. What Caterpillar is saying is that job creation equals jobs without a living wage. What they're offering you is below a living wage. We're talking about being able to get a university education. We're talking about retiring with dignity. We're talking about the health of our families and our children. And we at PSAC Local 610 and everyone here today is here to stand and fight with you in solidarity because the Canada being offered to us by Ottawa is not good enough. I am pleased to be here with you today because I know that together we can build a community in which every single person is able to live well.
For me to be here. When a corporation is making huge profits and it offers workers a deal that would cut their wages by more than 50%, it's not just a labor issue, it's a justice issue. And it's all part of that much larger pattern of the growing gap between rich and poor. A few months back, the OECD released a report called Divided We Stand, Why Inequality Keeps Rising. The report found some interesting things. The social contract is starting to unravel in many countries. Benefits are not trickling down. Wealth is being redistributed upwards. And without a comprehensive strategy for inclusive growth, inequality will continue to rise. In other words, too many people are being excluded from the benefits of the economy, and it's tearing at the fabric of society. When jobs disappear, entire families pay the price, and our local community is weakened. When corporate profits soar, but ordinary workers don't benefit, our community is weakened. When governments fail to ensure that the markets serve the public good, our community is weakened. This is the moral dimension of the economy, and it's time that we all pay attention to it. A market economy must be governed by justice and oriented toward the common good. Now is the time for the 99% 50% to stand together in solidarity and insist on an economy that serves the whole. Not just here in London and not just here in Canada. We all know the workers in Muncie, Indiana are not the problem. The workers in Brazil or China are not the problem. The problem is an economic model that's not serving the needs of everyone. Today, together, we are saying that we need change.
I want to bargain a fair agreement, and their refusal to move, not from what I call their proposal, refusal to move from their ultimatum, is the fact that they don't want to be diplomatic. They don't want to follow the rules of bargaining. And I want to publicly thank Joe for what he's doing and fighting up on behalf of this city, and I turn it over to Joe Fontana.
Thank you to the workers of Canada. Thank you to the workers of Ontario. Thank you to the workers of London. Thank you to the workers of the United States for coming to London and supporting our people. And thank you for supporting the Electromotive workers, their families, their children, their grandchildren, the thousands of them who over 62 years have given their blood, sweat, and tears to that plant. I'm here joined with my councillors because we are unanimous in our support for our workers in our city for their hard work. And I want to introduce them because they're here standing with you. And it is Bud Paulhill Strong. It is Joe Swan. It is Steve Orser. It is Nancy Branscombe. It is Paul Usher. Harold Usher. Paul Hubert. Dale Henderson. Sandy White. And Paul Van Meerbergen. London, Ontario has some of the finest companies in the world. They've chosen to come here. Why? Because we can be and are the most competitive, productive workers like we are in Ontario and Canada. People make a difference. You are not a number on a payroll slip. You are what makes companies successful. For 62 years, you have built the best locomotives in the world that power the economy of the world. And you know what you've just heard from GE? So that if Caterpillar wants to be productive and competitive, it needs to respect your skills, your high skills, that you can't buy those skills for $15 an hour. A unanimous resolution in our council that says two things. Caterpillar, get back to the table and negotiate with an incredible union that is prepared to work with you to make you the most productive company in the country. We have called on the federal government, and Mr. Stephen Harper was here in 2008 waving his tax cut. Where are you today? We need you to support Canadian workers. And you know, let's talk about the future, because that's what we're talking about. We know that we can build the best locomotive, that we can build the best products in this country. Why? Because we are the best in the world. We are the most productive in the world. So let's get out there. Get back to the table, Caterpillar. Get your ass down here, Prime Minister Harper. Support the things. Let's build the best locomotive in the world. Thank you. Get your ass down here. 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 Get your ass down here.
So I just want to introduce a speaker on behalf of Occupy, Anthony, who just wants to address the crowd for a minute. Anthony.
I'm here with Occupy London, and we're here to bring solidarity in this epic struggle. And we think We think we also offer maybe a bit of a lesson in the days Occupy was around, that we used civil disobedience and we used direct action, and we didn't rely on the political institutions to get us what we want, because we've lost faith in them. They're not serving us anymore. They're not bringing us what we need. They're selling us out. So we think we need to take back our factories. We need to take back our schools. We need to take back our political institutions. So we should be taking the streets. Yes. And we should be standing up and drawing a line in the sand. No more. No more. No more. No more. Human needs, not corporate greed. Human needs, not corporate greed. Thank you.
First, the 450 families from EMC that are here today. They can raise their flag so I can see where they are. Get up to the front. Caterpillar, you want to fight? You gotta fight. This ain't about 450 people. This is about a community, a province, and a goddamn country. You want to fight? We're ready to go. This is about the membership. This is about companies coming into Canada wanting to attack our wages. It's not going to happen. No. We're going to fight for what's right. We're going to fight for what we've took 20 years to get to. Caterpillar, like I say, anytime you want to come to the bargaining table, we're ready to bargain. But don't think you're coming with $30 million a year on our thing. It's not about attacking our membership. It's not going to happen. We have a great community. London is an excellent community to live in, and as a Canada is a great place to live. Like I say, Caterpillar, you pissed off the wrong membership here. So Billy Ainsworth, if you're listening to this, you better look out, because guess what? This is all about support, and this is going to be a fight that you haven't going to forget. Let's go. This fight is about everybody. It's about our children, grandchildren, and going forth, because whatever happens here today is going to continue to happen, and we're not going to allow it to happen in Canada. This is Canada, not the USA, it's Canada.
Our home and native land, true patriot love, in all our sons command, with glowing hearts we see thee rise, a true north, strong and free, from far and wide, oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for
I want to start with a quote. Ralph Waldo Emerson said, "Whatever course you decide upon, there is always someone to tell you that you are wrong. There are always difficulties arising which tempt you to believe that your critics are right. To map out a course of action and follow it to an end requires courage. And by God, do you have courage? For the sake of the health of this community, for our families, and for every family across this country, we need to send a message to Caterpillar. Back off!
And every level of government has a responsibility to intervene and ensure it is never repeated. Hey Harper, where the hell are you?
He's hiding in China, trying to sell our oil.
Complacency is not an option. There is just simply too much at stake.
I'll tell you one place you know.
Indira Gandhi said, whenever you take a step forward, you are bound to disturb something. And by God, are we disturbing something today?
We are going to continue to fight. And I want to introduce our next speaker, who is the president of our national union, a fighter all the way, Brother Ken Lewinsa.
You know, I'm going to send a different message out here today. This struggle with Caterpillar, yes, it started with Caterpillar 3 weeks ago. But in the last 5 years, 450,000 manufacturing workers in Canada were asked to go home and say to their family they lost their job through no fault of their own. It's a crisis in the Canadian economy today, outside of the fight that we have with Caterpillar, outside of the fight we have with multinational corporations, and that's government in every municipality and every province in the country attacking public services and attacking public workers. I would like at this particular time for the largest public sector union, Paul Moyse, to say a few words on behalf of the importance of public sector workers and private sector workers fighting together for equal justice, for common justice. Paul Moyse, President QP. Let me say on behalf of 600,000 QP members, we stand here today supporting good jobs, supporting Caterpillar workers. Let me also say, the CAW has supported QP in every corner of Canada. In Toronto, our largest city, Mayor Rob Ford wants to roll the clock back. Let me say, the great leader Bob White from your union said, we don't need unions to walk backwards. We're marching forwards in Toronto. Let me end and turn it back to your president. The words are important, and we're with you on behalf of our national union and QP Ontario. This is a down payment, $15,000 today, and more coming. Stay on the line. Stay strong. Stay together. We learned this in Wisconsin. I got one question for you. Tell me what democracy looks like. They can't hear you. Tell me what democracy looks like. Tell me what democracy looks like. Workers together will never be defeated. Stand strong. Let me say, brothers and sisters, think about this for 1 minute. Here's a corporation that has exceeded profits by $4 billion. Here's a corporation that their top 7 executives shared amongst themselves $70 million in bonuses. Here's a corporation, or better yet, $60,000 off each worker on total compensation to take it off the hands of the workers and the families and the business community here who relies on the spending power of consumers to have money. They want to take that profit, that incredible profit, and put it in the pockets of CEOs and shareholders. And I remember the days that this would be
corporation is to send a message out to multinational corporations like Caterpillar. And I want to say to my colleagues, for members of the Caterpillar Union that's in front of here today, yes, it's 425 families. That's approximately 2,000 people by itself when you include their family. When you count the 350 non-union workers that are waiting for this plant to operate, that's another 1,000 people. And then when you take a look at the spin-off jobs of what this workplace means to the community, we're talking about in better than 2,000 to 3,000 families negatively affected as a result of corporate greed. We know the struggle today is with Caterpillar, but we send out our heart and our commitment to the 450,000 manufacturing workers that have lost this job from one end of the country to the other through no fault of your own. The voice of 15,000, 16,000 people are behind you today, fighting for good jobs, fighting for jobs that can provide for their family, jobs that build communities, jobs that build schools, jobs that build hospitals, jobs that build streets and sewers. We need these jobs in Canada, United States, and elsewhere throughout the world. Some of you have driven for 8 to 10 hours from Sudbury to Timmins to Ottawa, from Pennsylvania, from Illinois. And the message is clear. The fight for public policy mechanisms that not only gives our retirees an opportunity to retire in dignity, but give the young people that are in the audience here today. All of you should give our young people a round of applause for the kids that are here today. So I want to say an exact quote from the CEO of Caterpillar. He spoke to a business audience in the United States in September of 2011. And I want you to listen to this, brothers and sisters, because this is the inequality. These are the 99% of the people he's talking about, not just in Canada, but in the United States and the globe, as workers in every country in the world are being exploited by capital. Capital can move from one community to another community, from one province to another. Capital can move from one country to another and leave workers behind regardless of what country that is. And until we take on capital, until we take on the rights of these companies to move your job anywhere in the world to the lowest bidder, we will continue to fight like hell for the next generation. This is a battle for our members, of course, in the CAW. Of course, it's a battle for us to preserve good public services. Of course, it's a battle to preserve good jobs. But I want to say to Stephen Harper today, through the 15,000 people that are here, I watched his year-end interview, and he said on CBC, our first priority must be jobs in Canada.
He's a liar. He's a liar. He's a liar.
And that's nice to say on national TV. But when you take a look at the Foreign Investment Act, and brothers and sisters, government can play a role in this kind of economy if they wish and choose to do so. Under the Foreign Investment Act, the conditions of any sale to a multinational corporation was supposed to be whether it was a net benefit to Canadians. I say, as Mr. Fontana has already said, was this a net benefit for Canadians? No! Did the sale provide prosperity and economic security for our country and for our members? No! Did Caterpillar, who's showing $4 billion and come January 26, are going to announce even higher profits and expect larger growth? So So this is our message to Mr. Harper. It is time that Canadians, not just unionized workers, not just the social movements, not just the workers in Illinois and Pennsylvania, it's about time that the Canadian government, in a nonpartisan way, create jobs and opportunity, enhance existing jobs that pay good taxes and provide good opportunity for those of us in this community and every community throughout the country. So, Mr. Harper, you can't run away from the 1.5 million Canadians looking for work. You can't run away because you defaulted on your commitment to the Caterpillar workers. Mr. Harper walked into the Caterpillar plant during an election photo op, and he walked around and told our members, your job is more secure today as a result of corporate tax cuts and tax incentives. Tax incentives, and they shut down the workers who really make a contribution to the community. So, Mr. Harper, this is not only morally wrong, you can legislate that it's legally wrong in the House of Commons. Let me thank the politicians from all walks of life who see this as a nonpartisan situation on the interest of Canadians. But you may notice we don't have any conservatives here whatsoever. Cowards! Every one of them. The Prime Minister was invited to speak today and defend his actions in government. Mr. Holder and Mr. Preston in this community was asked to come here today and justify their work in a parliament on behalf of this community, and they chose not to be here. So without any further ado, we leave here today in the bond of solidarity, in the bond of respect for one another, for a recognition that one job loss is too many, whether it's in the public sector and in the private sector. We leave here today supporting our members at Caterpillar and supporting workers' rights to a decent job, for students to have the ability to go to school based on the taxes we pay, for people to go to health care facilities based on the taxes we pay. And at the end of the day, brothers and sisters, this movement's going to go internationally, because it isn't about the workers in Pennsylvania. It isn't about the workers in Illinois. It isn't about the workers in other countries that are fighting for economic and social justice. It's about us coming together as a people throughout the world and demand equality, demand equity, demand opportunity, and demand good jobs. To all of you, we salute you and we thank you. We salute you and we thank you. The interest of Canadians must come first. Yeah!
I'm just living on a perfect day, riding on a perfect wave, waiting for the end to come. Enjoy your visit, no one gets to stay. Never let it slip away, waiting for the end to come.
Castle home, no mountain sky, no magic kingdom peacefully, no bluebird on my shoulder, happily ever after. Once upon a time there was this guy, and soon he learned there ain't no holiday in Disney. I guess it's hard for me to even try. This ain't no fairy tale, no happy ending. This ain't no holiday. This ain't no holiday in Disney. I guess it's hard for me to even try. Keep marching on, just pick your side.
As long as you keep electing lawyers who represent only themselves in big business, you will never ever get any help. Ever.
There's this mentality that we're not going to interfere with capitalism. We're not going to interfere with the right to make a profit because it's better for everybody. The only people we see it better for is the rich and powerful, and working people are getting hit everywhere.